Good morning, Nolan Barley, Bitcoiner, here with another episode of The Breakup, episode number 7. I did not make yesterday's episode because, as I mentioned, I was coming from Canada to beautiful Lisbon, Portugal, where I am now, and was just a little too jet lagged and all the rest of it. And it never fly well on those flights overnight, of course. So trying to fix the audio. This is another one coming, not live. They're going to be live normally, but I don't have the permissions yet for the account to run live off of the iPad, which is what you're being recorded on now. So we're going to go with this. So first big story. So once again, let's jump into the frame here. This is all about breaking up with the fiat system, about breaking up with the modern world and embracing cryptocurrencies, embracing Bitcoin as your measurement of economic progress, output, whatever you want to call it, the measuring stick. It is, I like to say Bitcoin is to wealth and value as water is to the metric centigrade system. Of course, we created the freezing point zero as the arbitrary, we arbitrarily gave it zero, but it is the temperature at which water freezes. And then 100 became the boiling point. So we just divided everything between 0 and 100. And, water is the measuring stick in its three forms: solid, liquid, and gas, for our entire centigrade system. And it works, the metric temperature system. As a North American, as a Canadian, I know Celsius and Fahrenheit, and I'll tell you, I prefer Celsius for those reasons. So I think of Bitcoin as that measuring stick, and that's not what's there today. So in order to get there, the reason I'm making this show and my theory is, it's not just about trading some dollars for some Bitcoin and getting on with your life, right? Because those people are still, let's say, taking the principle of investment out, right? That's not really what we're talking about here. They're selling Bitcoin to get the cash back, so it's all cream on top. They don't think about trading into Bitcoin alone. I remember once I went on CNBC to discuss stablecoins, and that a report had come out from the University of Texas, Ripple funded, by the way, everyone. So a report came out of the University of Texas saying, we can prove that stable coins, in particular Tether, is used to prop up Bitcoin because look at the psychological analysis we did. This is in like 2017, 2018. The psychological analysis we did, because of course everyone wants more stable coins, so all they're doing is trading on the premium and the gap between exchanges, and they're getting more stable coins, and that's why all the stable coin is being issued. And what they were able to do is prove that prove that people, because they wanted more stable coins, were doing this stuff. But what they imagined was everything they had proved in their story could have been easily explained by saying, well, they actually want more Bitcoin. Like, they don't care about the stable coins, right? So I don't remember the report exactly, but that was more or less what was going on. Today, in order to continue with this theme of breakup and what it means and why you should break up, we're going to be talking about something called the Gell-Mann amnesia effect. And the Gell-Mann amnesia effect was coined by Michael Crichton, the great writer of Jurassic Park, Congo, and Andromeda Strain. When he died in 2008, I really believed that America, humanity, had lost one of the people that would have been most useful in leading us through the last 10, 12 years. He was an advisor to every American president, I think from Ford on, when he wrote Andromeda Strain. They welcomed him to his office, and he was not a partisan. They welcomed him in because he knew about everything. He was a literal giant. I think he was like 6'8" or 6'9". And I don't know if a lot of people know that. All those books that he wrote, they made him his money, but his real fortune came from one thing. One TV show that he produced, created, and owned. And that's ER. So anyone who grew up in the 1990s remember the popularity of George Clooney's television show ER, Emergency Room. That was him. He was an actual medical doctor. He never had to do it and never really practiced because his writing career took off. But before that, he was a medical doctor and had done a bit of time in the ER, and that's where he had the idea. So he created it and owned that show and was obviously wildly successful. So really unfortunately died. But he came up with something called the Gell-Mann amnesia effect. Even the word Gell-Mann is just brilliant. He just puts Gell-Mann in there because Murray Gell-Mann had won a Nobel Prize. So he figures if he just associates the thing with a famous person, you'll take it seriously and remember it. So the Gell-Mann was completely made up, right? It has nothing to do with it. What he really talks about is this amnesia effect. but it's so clever that he just randomly put in a Nobel Prize winner in order to illustrate the actual point. Oh, you'll believe me now because I put the Gell-Mann in. The Gell-Mann amnesia effect is that if you're an expert in some subject and you go into the news and you read the article, you'll say, well, this is ridiculous. Like, I know a lot about this subject. You see it with Bitcoin every day, right? You read these ridiculous articles on Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and news, right? Just absolutely batshit crazy, right? And then you turn the page, and you know it, and you dismiss it, right? And then you turn the page, and they're talking about Israel and Palestine, or global warming, or almost any other subject, literally almost any other subject, and you start to take them seriously again. What you don't realize is that someone else in the world who's an expert on the next subject is laughing at them the same as you, and that's the amnesia, right? Why would you take the next thing seriously when you know they were absolutely ridiculous 10 seconds earlier, 1 page earlier, if you actually flipped a newspaper in the old days, right? 1 page earlier, you were laughing, and now all of a sudden they're serious again. So he was always curious about this effect. And we can see it in action today. The first example, let's take Glenn Greenwald's quest to get the mainstream media to cover what's going on with the old Mueller, Russia Gate, everyone's a Russia operative. And he went out and is exposing the hypocrisy. Hypocrisy is the wrong word. They won't face the facts. They had built a million conclusions on this idea that Trump campaign was working with Russia, when in fact it was the other way around, right? The Hillary Clinton campaign was actively working with Russia. A lot of people knew this pretty early on, but it wasn't a matter of fact yet. And now what we're seeing is the people behind the original Steele dossier are going to jail or being arrested or being indicted. I'm not sure exactly what, because I don't really watch the mainstream news. I just get stuff to talk about for here, because in my opinion, it's poison. And I've already broken up. I'm here to help you break up, right? So I'm going to take these examples and underline them. So so you've got all of these. They were, as Glenn Greenwald is describing every day. You've got actual members of the NSA who turned into news reporters, casters, guests, all this stuff. And they would come on shows and they would, underline why Russia had Trump in his pocket and this and that. When in fact, it's very clear that anyone who was involved in the Hillary Clinton campaign at that high level understood that the Steele dossier was complete garbage, was totally fabricated, and was a piece of Russian misinformation itself, right? It was a piece of Russian misinformation itself. And mostly generated not from the Russians. So Russian misinformation is what they might have sold some stuff as far as, and when I say they, these NSA folks that go onto the news, what it really was in the end was a Democrat project. It was a Democrat spin job. And they turned the tables and of course, got the whole apparatus to chase Trump down. And what's interesting today is that no one's covering it, right? In the sense that the people who came up with the Steele dossier, actual Democrat Party operatives, are going to jail. And it's just getting crickets from the mainstream media. And so Glenn tries to isolate why this is. My explanation is that it's a bit of a cognitive dissonance. The amount of work you need to do to reformulate everything that happened in your past lives, for these folks, it's just too much work, so that they can't handle it. You know what I mean? It's like a short circuit situation. But there's other effects going on that I don't know exactly, but it's enough to say that there are people deciding what gets broadcast and put on screen and what doesn't. And the Gell-Mann amnesia effect allows us to forget this every single time it happens. And we just move on with our lives. So we let something like the complete corruption of, in particular, MSNBC, right? You can see MSNBC with John Brennan, the former CIA director, and just being used as a conduit to get talking points out that were directly from the Clinton campaign. And this was all framed and treated as if it was a normal story, totally great, and out there to help you. In fact, it wasn't. It was not there to help you at all. It was there to mislead you and to keep you from the real story. Now, the real story, I don't care about Trump and Russiagate. It's all stupid anyway, right? It doesn't matter. The real story is not Trump, Russia, even though the attempted coup is massive. What's more important is the psychological manipulation, as far as I can tell. Right? I don't care about the coup part. I care about the psychological manipulation part. And anyone who still buys this stuff, um, you got to break up. You know what I mean? You got to get rid of this partner because they're not serving your interests. They don't care about you. They really don't. So this is a major problem. Now, I want to underline the Gell-Mann amnesia effect as it relates to finances and Bitcoin, because it's really important to show that this. So I'm only bringing up the Trump, Russiagate, and Mueller Steele dossier stuff to show you that it actually applies to everything. The amnesia effect, right? So if that's stupid, right, and you're already there, or if you're not, I'm not trying to convince you about Trump, Russia. I'm trying to convince you that the media is not your friend, right? And the people creating these stories don't care about you. They will actively mislead you if it's better for their interests. So here's the next story. And this comes to us from our good friend Tur Demeester. Tur has been one of the best people at predicting Bitcoin's ascendance of anyone in the world. I mean, I've been taking notes from Tur since 2014, 2013. Tur sees the future with great clarity. And I think I've mentioned on this show before, Peter Brandt, the technical analyst. Um, Peter Brandt was a leader in commodity trading before Bitcoin. He was one of the first ever sort of all-star commodities traders that came to Bitcoin. And Tur was one of the people he followed. Tur was one of the people that even convinced him. Tur underlines and retweeted this amazing set of stories. I'll read you the headlines. This one from CNBC again. So we're talking about the NBC network again, right? So MSNBC brings on John Brennan, brings on all these CIA folks, and also has a great business channel that everyone watches, CNBC, which I've been on before, but I refuse to do these shows mostly anymore because it's all crap like this. I used to go on those shows all the time, but it's still the same. It's number goes up, number goes down, Bitcoin got hacked, someone stole Bitcoin from a wallet somewhere, oh my God. So they're always doing this. So here's what Tur says. Here's the headline. How one millennial built his net worth to $500,000 by age 31. Okay, so a 31-year-old has $500,000. Is that really a headline? Is that worth a headline on CNBC? But that's not even the point, right? That's not even the point. Here's what Tur underlines. He contrasts that with a fella named Alexei Stakhanov. And he was a USSR superstar miner, right? So he's a superstar miner in Soviet Russia, or I think Ukraine at the time. And they would, brag about his ability to mine, and they'd give him a bonus and this and that. And that was sort of news back then. So what are these two things that have in common, and why did Tur compare them? Well, the whole point of the article was to talk about how this man who has $500,000 trusted the bank's advice. That's what got him where he was. He listened to his advisor. He bought a certificate of deposit. This is like saying, oh, I went to an ice cream shop and the person there said, you should really buy a chocolate sundae, right? And then you buy the chocolate sundae, and then, it comes out that, you're satisfied at the end of the night, right? You had enough dessert. The headline is more or less, man goes into ice cream store, advisor tells him to buy an ice cream sundae, and he leaves having been satisfied with the dessert. $500,000 in crypto, there's no story there. That happens, I think, every 10 minutes that someone's up to $500,000 by age 31 is old. It's positively old in crypto, right? Positively old in Bitcoin. If you're 31 years old, I don't know if anyone's writing an article on you that you made $500,000. But here's the kicker. If you actually read the article, you'll find that it's just plastered with bank ads and, come to this bank, come to this advisor. So what we see is Um, you've got a story in the mainstream media about spies inclusion, right? So if you come at it from that angle, and you come at it from let's say the Republican Trump angle, this is all obvious to you. You've seen this for a while, right? If you're Democrat is new to you, perhaps you haven't even heard this stuff before. And then if you're a Bitcoiner already, you are of course sure that you're getting lied to around financial media, but maybe you didn't know too much about the other side. So it works both ways. You can take any one of these examples, but know that the Murray Gell-Mann amnesia effect applies to all the pages in the newspaper, right? So turn the page and keep the skepticism, right? Don't turn the page and go back to being a rube, right? Turn the page and understand that it's probably as inaccurate as it was before, right? Probably. And to see financial news propagating stories like Alexei Stakhanov, the equivalent, right? A 31, and this guy, the 31-year-old, no offense to him, like it's successful, like it's okay, you know. But what he did was, you know, he had one of these, you know, basic bitch jobs. He's some fucking accountant or something, right? He's an accountant, invested a bit of money in something super low risk because the bank told him to and gave him good advice, but you know, it all worked out. And then at 31, he had $500,000. All right. Um, it's the same thing as Alexei Stakhanov, you know, a major coal miner, did really well. Great. Everyone go be a coal miner. So that's the Murray Gell-Mann effect. I hope it's helpful. I'm going to keep mentioning the Murray Gell-Mann effect just because it is one of those great frames that'll help you break up with the fiat world. That's all I got for today, guys. We're going to keep coming at you from Lisbon all week. Thanks for your time.